Hi, I'm Gloria, and I'm back for week 2 of applying a growth mindset to Valorant. I'm gonna keep this one a little shorter because editing the first video took a bit longer than expected, and I'm 1 week behind. So to kick things off, my biggest learning from week 2 was that surfacing the themes of my mistakes in my VOD reviews and adjusting the mistakes by studying, asking questions, and critically thinking for myself was already noticeably making me a better player. I was not super consistent with all the habits I wanted to implement every day this week, but I had really meaningful time spent that overall helped me improve. And I wanted to start off with this clip from Sunday because I was able to apply my learnings from VOD reviewing my clutches last week, and I was really happy about this little micro decision I made. So after defusing the bomb halfway and after the smoke started to disappear, I swung a little to my left to mess up this Breach's crosshair placement. Look, you can see how his bullet was like on my right. So his crosshair was actually on the bomb when he peeked me. In the past, I might have honestly just stayed on the bomb trying to defuse it until he peeked me and then I would try to swing. But this time I was so ready to swing after having the defuse and when the smoke disappeared, which helped me secure this round. Okay, so I'm jumping into the week now, and on Monday I spent most of the day video editing and was really tired, but still decided to play 2 comp games. I then aim trained at like 1 a.m. because it was Monday and I really wanted to be consistent this week and start the week off with some things checked off the list. I struggled with this aim routine a lot. Tam pointed out I was flicking too far from the moving dot, so he suggested that I tried to flick as smoothly as possible to a dot, then read its movement and get a good micro adjustment in. I attempted to apply his feedback on Tuesday and wow, it still looked kind of bad. But at least I had some sort of goal for this exercise, but I still had a lot of room to improve here. I hit a few new high scores doing other tracking exercises, and it was really addicting to see the new high score sign. I think I'm understanding a little bit more. Like I have to lift my forearm a little bit when I'm doing wider movements, and then when it's like more of like a micro, the ball is just moving like in close areas, I'm using my wrist to aim. And like a little bit more of my wrist and my fingers. And that's what I noticed was different about today's session. The new adjustments from last week really made a big difference for me in week 2, so I was also really happy about that. I ended up making an adjustment to my warm-up routine, and I basically tried to get 3 body shots with jett knives while mixing up and moving and floating in the air. I really suck with jett knives, so I thought I'd practice tracking while shooting so I can learn to have more movement in game. Next week, I'll upgrade to trying to shoot the heads instead of the body to get a better practice in. On Tuesday, I did a VOD review for my jett on Abyss, and these were my takeaways. Number 1, when I'm playing jett, I need to call for smokes before I dash out, or at least be aware that there are no smokes. Especially on Abyss, like people always play Heaven. I don't know what I was thinking here. Number 2, okay, except for the obvious one here, which is to practice my entry so I don't fall to the side of Jen. Takeaway number 2 is to be ready for enemies to swing when they don't have angle advantage. And also, don't put my crosshair on the wall. It's literally useless. The third takeaway is that I need to have a plan for post-plant. The amount of times I've said this to myself. I wanted to try holding post-plant on top gen here without any real plan, but after watching this VOD, it made me realize how panicked I was, and it probably wasn't a good angle for me specifically, because I have to be more aware of the minimap and notice if Heaven is still smoked or walled, or if someone is watching flank. I watched an Aspas Abyss VOD and asked Tam, and then decided the best spot for me for post-plant is probably right here. Tam told me that this was a power angle, so I wanted to try it out the next time I played Abyss. And lastly, this is actually from a different game on Haven, but I needed to call this out for myself because I cannot be making these types of mistakes. Just because my jett dashes in before me doesn't mean that the site is clear. I still need to clear methodically when taking sight or just be aware where the enemy can still be. I actually love this angle when I play on defense, so I should really be aware of this. On Thursday, I VOD reviewed a game that forever changed my life on Pearl. It was one of those games where I felt like I played like shit and I was close to the bottom of the leaderboard and I kept throwing on accident and my teams were literally telling me that I sucked at the end. I felt so bad after that I needed to change the way that I played on Pearl and just learn about the map. Some of my biggest issues on Pearl was that I didn't have a plan for post plant on either site. In the past, I wanted to play off my teammates, but in reality, I did not have the capacity to think and process about the optimal positioning based off of my teammates' positioning while taking site. Another big issue is that I didn't understand a lot of the angles on Pearl, and so just my crosshair placement was all over the place. I didn't know where to expect the enemies. And yeah, today is Thursday and I spent about 1.5 hours VOD reviewing Pearl because I freaking suck at it. It's actually so annoying. And I was getting advice from Tam, so hopefully I'll play a bit better on Pearl now. I'm pretty excited, honestly, to get Pearl again. But we'll see. Yeah, after VOD reviewing, I went to the gym because I felt really tired and I wanted to feel more energized. So yeah, I think it worked. I'm like ready to aim train right now. So it's 5:23 p.m. and I'm gonna start aim training and then we're gonna in-house and then I can play comp games and we'll see how it goes. Today is placement games. I'm still playing my placement games today. I already played 2 yesterday. 1-1, lost 1. And hopefully, honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever. My goal is improvement. So yeah. Yeah, so I didn't explain this in the past, but I went into a custom game that day and practiced picking different angles and holding angles while talking through them with Tam. I learned some important things, that it's good to have elbow control for post plant and how I can play here depending on the situation. I could jiggle these common spots and if my teammate is fighting, then I can obviously help them. Then I can back up into this angle and then crouch and hold for the enemy to swing. On A site, I used to always get stuck in default or in this cubby right here, but honestly, I always ended up dying, like with my teammates playing main for some reason. Well, we all know why. Instead, I decided that I should take back site with a teammate and get dugout control because it's pretty bad for the enemy team to retake from Flower in general. I know this is really situational, but that was my plan, at least. If for some reason I can't get dugout control, I decided that I'll play default instead of this cubby because otherwise I'm just giving a 1v1 to the art person when they swing, which they always do. So yeah, I created a game plan and although things vary based on the situation and enemy util, and how my teammates are playing, having a plan in general was just so helpful for me. Okay, so fast forward to Friday because I want to show you the results of this practice. I was so happy because I felt more comfortable on the map in general. I placed 3rd as Jett and match MVP both Pearl games as Clove, which is crazy. Spending time studying and thinking about the map helped me understand the angles a lot better, which just had a domino effect over all my games. Alright, to wrap things up, one last thing I learned week 2 was that it's not enough to take note of my mistakes and move on. I need a way to cement the learnings into my actual gameplay. I noticed I was making the same mistakes from last week of not being aware of the enemy's util, so I would find myself getting flashed without realizing it or even ulted while planting the bomb. I decided to create a mental checklist that I keep near me when I play a comp game. The goal here is to refer to this checklist at the beginning of every round. And eventually, if I practice doing these things, they'll become second nature and then I will have more space to focus on other things. The other benefit to this is that if I get tilted from my teammates or I feel like I'm playing bad and my mental isn't good, it kind of helps me lock in and have focus and not get too distracted from playing the game. Yeah, so I also call this my lock-in checklist. And next week, I'm gonna start asking these questions at the end of every video to make sure I'm constantly reflecting and learning and growing throughout this whole process. Okay, thanks for watching week 2. Bye bye. Hope you have a good week.